Patel actually was opposed to going to the United Nations at all. His logic was a logic of very basic realism, that India should not submit its issues to the judgment and to the interests of other powers. His reluctance to take the matter to the UN itself stemmed from the belief that Pakistan was better to deal directly with Pakistan rather than in a framework that would allow Pakistan to manipulate. Today, when much greater emphasis is being put on continuous training and strong performance evaluation, the Sardar certainly serves as a symbol of good governance. Sound policy making requires a proper understanding of the environment in which we operate, and I'm sure none of you would disagree with that proposition. Since no nation is really an island unto itself, this applies as much to foreign policy as it does to domestic policy. What makes Sardar Patel stand out was his hard-headed approach to challenges reflected in both strategic clarity and decisive action. He, at least, was never given to viewing problems through rose-tinted glasses, nor being swayed by the fashionable ideologies of the day. This was a man who intuitively gauged the big picture, who worked through all its complications and carefully prepared the ground for the right responses. In the field of national security, for example, he assessed the dangers in Junagarhn, in Hyderabad and Kashmir very accurately. And when the time came to act, he had no hesitation in using all the instruments at his command. And because the governance structures at this delicate period of our history saw him as their champion, they too responded to the fullest. In that sense, this period is instructive on how to get the best out of the system and deal with critical issues. Those two are lessons to remember. Of particular relevance in this regard is the handling of Jammu and Kashmir and the decision to refer the Pakistani attack to the United Nations under Article 35 of the UN Charter, which is the article on the threat to international peace and security. Now, there is a debate whether this could have been done better under Article 51 of the Charter as a right of self-defense. But Sardar Patel actually was opposed to going to the United Nations at all. He had resisted this in the case of Junagarhn, and he had resisted this in the case of Hyderabad as well. And his logic was a logic of very basic realism, that India should not submit its issues to the judgment and to the interests of other powers. Sadly for all of us and for our nation, his caution was disregarded. And India, lulled by a sense of false internationalism, was set up by the United Kingdom, ably assisted at that time by Belgium, Canada, and the United States. What began as the Jammu and Kashmir question was conveniently changed to the India-Pakistan question, putting the two of them at par with each other, and with all the attendant implications. It took us a quarter century thereafter to settle the matter. Other than the misreading of world politics, there was an equally serious misjudgment of Pakistan by India. Within our system, Patel was the most forceful advocate of using all avenues of pressure on that country after the invasion of Jammu and Kashmir. His reluctance to take the matter to the UN itself stemmed from the belief that Pakistan was better to deal directly with Pakistan rather than in a framework that would allow Pakistan to manipulate. His own approach in regard to refugee handling and rehabilitation issues in the country also said much about his attitude to nationalist forces. Sardar Patel recognized that those who truly responded to the crisis should be supported without allowing politics to color his assessment. Today, we may be tempted to speculate what Sardar Patel's approach would have been to Pakistan-related issues that came up in the decade after his passing away. For example, would he have extended his support to the Indus Waters Treaty of 1960? Or dismissed it like the then Prime Minister as an issue just about a pail full of water that was negligible in the context of larger international politics, and subscribed to the justification that it was a decisive move towards a settlement and to peace with Pakistan. An understanding of the Sardar's life, policies and actions should allow all of us to come up with our own answers. Like any neighbor, India would certainly like to have good relations with Pakistan. But that cannot happen by overlooking cross-border terrorism